Hi everyone and welcome to my recent game collecting video of January to March 2023. Lately I've been thinking about maybe I should buy less games because obviously I have no time to play through all of these, but this first quarter of the year has been insane with game releases, so instead I ended up buying even more games than usual. So let's start going through them to see them all. So starting with January releases, Fire Emblem Engage, which I got as this huge Ilios collection. Love that limited edition. And especially what it did to my channel. But anyway, about the game itself, I loved Fire Emblem Three Houses, still do, and after that this feels like it's missing a quite huge part of the charm with Three Houses, because it feels like it's going closer to the series roots. So it is more to the point with like combat. It feels like it's focusing more on the gameplay. It's battle after battle, and the story segments between the battles are very short, which I can see it being more fun for some people, but for me it definitely feels like it's missing something, because I loved so much of those character interaction scenes between the combat and all that school system and everything between the combats in Three Houses. It was so much fun for me. So going to this game, it feels like it's missing something, but what there is, it's definitely amazing game. The combat system is still so much fun, and all that. I heard that the game can be somewhat easy, so I ended up starting right away with the hardest difficulty, and that definitely gives you some challenge. You need to plan your turns perfectly, or if you want to keep everyone alive, and of course you do. So yeah, combat is so much fun. It just feels like because some of the drama between the characters is missing, because the game is so much focusing on the gameplay. It does feel like it's missing something, but yeah, otherwise I've been enjoying the game so much. So many nice characters and so on. I just wish that the game would spend more time with the characters interacting with each other. But yeah, depending on your taste, this might be even more fun than Three Houses. For my personal taste, Three Houses was more to my taste. But next, Disgaea 7. And this was one of the games that I was thinking about. Maybe I should just buy it from sales at some point, because I wasn't a huge fan of Disgaea 6. It felt like it changed too many things from previous games, and some of those changes didn't fit at all. So I was somewhat on the fence with this game, thinking, okay, maybe I'll buy it from sale at some point later on. But when I realized the setting of the game being this like Japan themed netherworld in the game, I ended up getting it and giving it a try already, and I am so happy that I ended up doing so, because it is taking a step back after Disgaea 6 and going back to way things were in previous games. Of course, the art style is still 3D instead of nice sprite artwork, but for example the combat animations and so on are much better than they were in Disgaea 6, so the art style didn't bother me too much, and everything else feels much more like the previous games like Disgaea 5 had back from there. So like the stat scaling and all that, it's much more smaller than they were in Disgaea 6. I feel like that was one of the big complaints with Disgaea 6, stats going way too high. It didn't make any sense. And also story-wise I enjoy the game so much. The characters are so much fun, like the leading characters Fuji and Pirilika. So I also ended up enjoying the story because of the fun characters. So yeah, even if you were disappointed with Disgaea 6, definitely give this a try if you are a long-time fan of Disgaea series. I loved it so much that I ended up doing pretty much everything in the game. I couldn't stop playing it, so much fun. And next, last January release that I've bought so far, Dead Space. I really remember enjoying the original version back when I played it on PS3. And yeah, I enjoyed the first game in the series. Second game I got, but I don't think I ever played through it. I ended up dropping it like halfway through or something, and because of that I never ended up even getting Dead Space 3. But yeah, hearing about the first game in the series getting new version, I was excited because yeah, first game in the series was so much can you say fun because of horrifying horror setting and so on. But yeah, unfortunately I haven't even tried the new version yet, but from what I've heard, like the entire area of the game being more connected instead of being like this chapter structure like it was in the original game. That sounds like it's going to be so much more immersive than in the original version, so I am excited to try this game at some point. Maybe too many horror games at the moment, so this might take a while before I get into it. But yeah, I remember enjoying the original version, and that new version sounds like it's even better. And next to February releases, starting with Tales of Symphonia Remastered. I actually got somewhat late into the Tales series, so I've never played these older games in the series. So I am so glad that these are now getting these new remastered versions, so I can finally play them. Especially with Symphonia, because I've heard so many long-time fans of Tales series telling me that Symphonia is best game in the series. But unfortunately I haven't even tried this new version yet. Too many games to play, so I've been putting this on side. And who knows when I have enough time to actually play through this. Always feels so overwhelming to start these so long RPGs. But yeah, I am excited to see how the game is, because I do like Tales series, even though I got into it quite late. I am happy to see these new releases so I can enjoy these older games in the series as well. And next, Ryuga Gotoku Ishin Kiwami. So another remake of older game. Funnily the original version was like launch title on PS4 in Japan, but unfortunately that version of the game never got English release, so finally there's way to play the game in English as well. And I haven't played this new version either yet, but I do remember playing the original game. So it's like this historic setting with quite familiar faces and personalities from Ryuga Gotoku series. I'm still a little bit weirded out the English title being Like a Dragon Ishin instead of Yakuza Ishin. I always keep saying that I would love to have the names be closer to the original names instead of being completely different with games, but this is like I need to get used to the new name. It sounds so weird compared to the Yakuza games, Like a Dragon, even though it's literal translation of Ryuga Gotoku. But yeah, I remember enjoying the original version of the game, and to that I kind of have a little story that I want to share, because I sometimes get asked how did I get into learning Japanese and so on, because I remember that I imported from Japan some like rhythm games and fighting games on PS3, but I feel like those games were easy to enjoy even without understanding much Japanese, because you only needed to understand the menus and you were able to enjoy the games. I feel like this was probably first like these story heavy games that I imported from Japan, and to be honest, I didn't understand much back then. I only was able to pick up some words here and there, but I didn't understand what was going on. But thankfully there was this unofficial fan translation website giving you like synopsis of each chapter and telling you what you need to do and so on. So with the help of that website I was able to enjoy this original version in Japanese, and that gave me so much motivation to keep going with practicing the language and import more Japanese games to learn more, build up the vocabulary and so on. And it's been so much fun. At this point I've played so many games through in Japanese, and it's so much fun. I felt like that was funny little story to share. And most funny part is that now that I am finally able to play through these games in Japanese, now finally the game's available also in English. But of course, that time learning new language didn't go to waste either way. But yeah, didn't necessarily relate to the game itself, but I felt like that was a funny thing to share, because I do sometimes get asked how did I get into learning Japanese, and I feel like this game was the turning point where I decided I need to learn more and get motivated and so on. But yeah, after a little sidetrack, let's continue with the new releases. So last February release that I've got, Octopath Traveler II. So the first game in the series was reason why I ended up getting Nintendo Switch. So I was so interested in the game that I ended up getting a new console for it. Because at the time it wasn't available on other platforms. And I didn't regret that purchase. It was so much fun. I think it might be still one of my favorite games on that system. I love the first game. So I was a little bit afraid if the second game is going to be as much fun. And so far it feels very similar and I've been enjoying it. Very likely at least as much as I've enjoyed the first game. Sorry. I feel like my nose is trying to run. But anyway, so what I was saying, I feel like the characters especially feel more interesting than in the first game. There was at least a couple of characters that I didn't so much care about their stories, but this time I feel like every character is interesting and I can't wait to see everyone's stories, so that's a nice thing because there's so many characters in the game. As the name says, eight of them. And it seems like they listened to some of the complaints about the first game because it did feel like it was eight separate stories. Now there's at least a little bit of interaction between the characters with the crossed path stories where two different characters share same story together, but I feel like those are least interesting part of the game, at least for me. Those feel like they are simply forced in the game, but they don't feel like they fit there as much as the rest of the game. But yeah, so far I've been enjoying the game so much. I love the combat system and I love the art style and everything. So yeah, great game in my opinion. Can't wait to see the rest of it. And next, the March releases, starting with Rune Factory 3 Special. So was the original version on DS or something like that? I'm pretty sure I have the original version. And I have played that, but I haven't played the new version yet. Unfortunately, I haven't had time to play this. But in general, I do like Rune Factory games so much. They are so relaxing and so taking care of this little farm of yours and also going into those dungeons for combat and so on. And at least with the Rune Factory 4 Special, I did like the little... okay, they were quite small upgrades, but still felt like worth getting the new version instead of playing the original. So yeah, I do want to play this at some point when I have time for these more relaxing games. Because I do remember enjoying the original game. Sorry for the loud snapping of the switch cases. And next, Zero Tsukihami no Kamen, or Fatal Frame, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. I have to try to remember the Western name of the game. So another new release of older game. But I haven't played the original version at all. And I haven't played huge amount of games in the series, but I did play Maiden of the Blackwater, both the original version and also the new release. And I did enjoy it, and I am excited to try this game as well. I wonder if they are planning to also release the original trilogy in the series at some point as these new versions. I'm probably even more interested in the original 3 games in the series. I hear that they might be even more into my taste, especially with the Maiden of the Blackwater. It did feel a little bit arcadey how the score system and all work when you are catching the ghosts with your camera. So it feels a little bit weird combination of horror story with this almost arcadey feeling where you combat the ghosts trying to haunt you. But yeah, still I am excited for the game. Oh, and I completely forgot that I got it as this premium box. And next, Atelier Ryza 3, which I also got as premium box. I love Atelier series so much, and even though I'm not biggest fan of Ryza games in the series, I do enjoy giving them a try and see the new changes between the games. But unfortunately I haven't had yet time to try this one yet, so can't say much about it. But in general I do like Atelier games, probably more of the older games in the series, but I do still enjoy these newer games as well. Especially the Ryza 2 after the first Ryza game felt much more enjoyable already, so I am expecting to enjoy this even more again. Probably. Have to wait and see how it is once I have time to try it. And next, Grim Guardians Demon Purge, or as the name was changed only like 1 week after release in West, Gal Guardians Demon Purge. And I suppose the new name is more telling what the game actually is, because it's spin-off games to Galgan series. The 2 main characters are from Galgan Double Piece, and there's also other characters from different games in the Galgan series. But the spin-off, it's like 2D action platformer from indie creates. A lot of the mechanics reminds me of like what was the Bloodstained spin-off game, Curse of the Moon or something. I can't remember names of the games, but yeah, it reminds me a lot of that Bloodstained spin-off gameplay mechanics wise. And yeah, I do enjoy it. It feels a little bit like budget title, so it's not very It's quite short and so on, but it's still quite enjoyable. The story is also simple, but it has its funny moments. But yeah, in general, if you like the indie creates action platformer, you probably might like this, especially if you are familiar with Galgan characters and so on. And again, I forgot to mention that I got it as this limited edition. But yeah, fun little game, maybe a little bit like budget title, but still enjoyable. And it was welcome between these so many longer games. It was fun to play something much shorter and simple. And last game here, after all these, Biohazard RE4 or Resident Evil 4. And I suppose I must admit that at the beginning here, I never finished the original version of the game. I remember enjoying like the beginning of the game, the whole village segment, that was so much fun, but when you get to the castle, for some reason I ended up quitting the game. Maybe it was like the interior designs of the castle felt a little bit too claustrophobic for me or something like that. And also Ashley joining you, so you were always having this another character following you around, so you were not only you needed to worry about surviving yourself, you also needed to take care of another character, so maybe that was also another point why I didn't end up ever finishing the game. But yeah, I was excited to give the game another chance with this new release. And so far it seems quite amazing game. It is so much better than the Resident Evil 3 new version was, because it's so much more faithful to the original game, at least from what I remember of the original game. There are so many scenes that reminds you of the original game, but there at the same time there are small changes here and there, so the game keeps still surprising you even if you remember the original game. So yeah, so much better remake compared to the what Resident Evil 3 got. It's still a little bit shame how Resident Evil 3 got so much more budget title compared to Resident Evil 2, and now with Resident Evil 4. 2 and 4 got so great remakes. 3 should have deserved better treatment than it got. But yeah, enough about that. Yeah, this game's great. And that's actually already last game here. But yeah, this was much more game releases than usual on these videos. Oh, I can't even fit them all here. So yeah, it's been crazy with so many game releases already during the first quarter of the year. Of course, half of these are only like re-releases of older games, but at least some of them are quite huge upgrades from the original games. So it definitely feels like worth it going through them again. And even with the games that got much more smaller upgrade, I am excited to enjoy the games again after the original release being so long time ago. And also at least one game that I have never played the original game, so I am excited to try that as well. But anyway, my voices have been going out for a while, so maybe I should stop talking, and thank you for watching this long video. Thank you, and see you again.